Hello, I'm John Gray, candidate for U.S. Senate in 2010. Today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about a book that I think everyone should read called What Would Jefferson Do by Thom Hartman. Of late, I have heard a great deal of talk in the media by some folks who seem to be a little bit confused about one point of our history in this country, the events surrounding the Boston Tea Party. It turns out the Boston Tea Party wasn't about tax increases at all. It came about because a crony of the British Crown, the East India Company, got a tax cut on its tea in the Tea Act of 1773, and this put all the other small merchants at a huge disadvantage. The East India Company got its way because it was so huge and powerful. There was a law at that time that said if you are basically smuggling things into the United States from out, if you're a small ship that's bringing in goods from overseas without a license, you're called a privateer and you're subject to be killed or sunk. In the mid-1700s, the East India Company had come to North America, had become to North America the Walmart of its day. It imported all kinds of stuff in here, including textiles, steel, tea, all kinds of things. Anyhow, the period between 1760 and 1773, there was a big recession going on, and during that period, the Americans built up the ability to build a lot of their own goods in steel, silver, fabric, and so forth, and these privateers were running tea in from all parts of the world. Now, the tea business in North America was still profitable, and it was propping up many other sectors of the British East India Company. And as the tea became more important, the company also found itself facing increasing numbers of competitors. The small entrepreneurs up and down the East Coast were building, buying, or chartering small private ships to sail all over the world to buy tea below the prices the British East India Company was selling. Nearly every block in most American cities had a tea house, which dispensed the drug of choice in those days and served as the local social center. Most of these tea houses were small private entrepreneurs, and by the late 1760s, the majority were buying their teas from these private importers. Desperate for cash, the British East India Company got the British government to pass an Enron-style tax cut that would allow them to undercut the prices of all the small business people in the colonies. Parliament passed the Tea Act of 1773, which cut the taxes on the East India Company's tea well below what anybody else could sell it for, and they gave them a big, huge rebate on taxes that might have been due. The American colonists, facing destruction of their local small businesses by the East India Company, rebelled. The tax cut was so unfair that it revived the battle cry, "No taxation without representation." Now, there's a book that was written by George Robert Twelvetree Hughes, who was there. He was one of the Boston Tea Party members. He wrote this book of his memoirs, and he described what he called the struggle of the colonists against corporate rule of American life. Like Walmart, the East India superships destroyed smaller competition. The Tea Act, a giant corporate tax cut, as Hughes notes, received permission to transport tea free of all duty from Great Britain to America, allowing it to wipe out all the small competitors and take over the tea business in all of America. Well, pamphleteers started resisting this. The people got up in arms about it, and they rebelled. It resulted in the Tea Party, which was the guys dressed up like Indians so they wouldn't recognize each other and they wouldn't be able to rat each other out. They knew where they were committing a severe crime. They dumped the British East India Company tea into the sea and said, "Get the heck out of here, we'll do our own tea business, thank you." That brought the British troops in to kind of quell the thing. It resulted in Paul Revere's Ride. It resulted in the revolution. The war was on. And why? Because Americans did not want international corporations dominating their life. So if the people that call themselves the Tea Party people or the tea baggers are true to their American history, They will be looking to break Walmart into 10,000 pieces, get rid of Lowe's, Home Depot, and any other major corporation that keeps the small private businessmen out of business. So just for your interest, Thomas Jefferson, What Would He Do? Written by Thom Hartman. What Would Jefferson Do? By Thomas Hartman. Everyone should read it, especially if you're a Tea Party person who wants to understand your history and not embarrass yourself.